What if everything you're doing is actually slowing it down? You close your eyes to visualize. You repeat your affirmations. You hold on to the desire like it might escape. And still, something feels off. Like the current isn't flowing. Like you're paddling upstream in a river that was designed to carry you effortlessly if you'd just stop resisting. Neville Goddard said it simply: effort is resistance. The moment you strive, you confess separation. And yet, almost no one tells you what that really means. Because the truth is, many seekers, even the most devoted, are trapped in the subtle violence of trying too hard to be spiritual. They chase alignment like it's a goal to achieve, instead of a state to receive. They squeeze their eyes shut, hoping the image will become stronger. They meditate to get calm, not to be peace. They assume if they do more, feel more, focus harder, something will finally click. But the wish does not come to the one who tries. It comes to the one who accepts. It arrives in the hands that have let go. It finds the soul that is not desperate to be found. There's a hidden contradiction inside the mind of so many manifestors. They say they believe it's done, but they act as if it's missing. They perform the rituals. They read the books. They monitor their emotions with the precision of a scientist. But underneath it all is the trembling whisper of, "It's not here yet. Maybe I'm still doing it wrong." And so, they do more, think more, repeat more. But manifestation is not repetition. It's not control. It's not measurement. It's not emotional pressure. It is surrender. It is stillness. It is the sacred art of allowing. Joe Dispenza reminds us, when we shift from the biology of survival to the state of creation, the body enters coherence. That's not just a nice idea. That's science. That's the moment your brain and your heart become one field. That's the moment your frequency stops stuttering and starts singing. That's when the signal you send to the quantum field becomes magnetic. Because when you relax, your body believes you already have it. Your nervous system steps out of waiting. Your vibration says, "It's safe. It's done." You may have been taught that relaxing is giving up, that ease is laziness, that stillness is passivity. But spiritually and energetically, relaxation is power. It's the gateway. It's the shift from willpower to soul power. True manifestation isn't done. It's allowed. It doesn't come through force. It flows through faith. The kind of faith that doesn't strain. The kind of faith that doesn't need proof. So take a breath. This video isn't here to give you more to do. It's here to help you stop doing what's in the way. To show you why it's not your techniques that are blocking the flow. It's your tension. Why you don't need another affirmation. You need another way of being. You're not failing. You're just remembering the old pattern, that you must work for what you want. But the soul already knows. What is real doesn't have to be earned. What's yours is not a reward. It's a return. In the next few minutes, we'll unravel the 10 subtle but profound ways that relaxation is not only spiritual, but manifestational mastery. We'll walk together through new understandings, ancient truths, and simple rituals that will help you drop the invisible weight and return to the effortless gravity of alignment. And as you listen, not with your ears, but with your body, you'll begin to feel it, that your desire is not in the distance, it's in the stillness, and it's already moving toward you. Let's begin. The moment you begin to obsess, you begin to signal lack. It feels innocent, checking the bank account every morning, scanning for signs, monitoring your vibration like you're watching a stock chart. But underneath that hyper-focus is the whisper of fear. It's not here yet. And when you dwell in that space, even subtly, you send a clear message to your subconscious and to the field around you. I don't have it. You may believe you're being committed, dedicated, clear. But in truth, you've narrowed your perception so tightly that you've become blind to the quiet miracles happening outside your line of sight. Psychology calls it the spotlight effect. It happens when we focus so intensely on one outcome, one image, one condition, that we distort everything else around it. You stop seeing what's unfolding. You miss the alternate routes that would have taken you to the same destination, maybe even faster with more joy. And you forget the most sacred principle of conscious creation. The universe is never late, but it often arrives through unexpected doors. Neville Goddard taught, live in the end. But to live in the end means to stop checking for it. Not because you don't care, but because it's already done. Imagine the absurdity of planting a seed and digging it up every hour to see if it's sprouting. You'd kill the very thing you were nurturing. And yet, that's what we do with our desires. We water them with focus, and then we choke them with doubt. You might say, "But I'm just being clear. I'm just aligning with my goal." And there's truth in that. But true clarity doesn't need to be stared at. It lives quietly inside you, like breath, like knowing. Real vision isn't forced. It's held lightly, like a soft candle in a steady hand. The moment you clutch it too tightly, the flame goes out. You lose the feeling. You shift from being the one who already has to the one who's trying to get. So ask yourself, are you focused because you trust, or because you're afraid to let go? Are you looking, or are you searching? There's a difference, and that difference is everything. Your greatest manifestations don't come when you zoom in. They come when you open, when you soften, when you stop needing to see and start knowing it's already real. The energy of obsession is contraction. The energy of certainty is expansion, and the universe only fits through an open door. There is a moment, quiet, subtle, almost imperceptible, when effort transforms into resistance. It happens when you're trying so hard to feel the wish fulfilled that you end up proving to yourself that you don't. It's the invisible trap that so many fall into without realizing. The more you push to generate the feeling, the more you reinforce its absence. It sounds like sincerity. It even looks like dedication. But the energy beneath it is tension. You grip the visualization, you strain for emotion. You repeat the scene again and again, hoping this time it will click. This time the feeling will stay. But your body is clenched. Your breath is shallow. And your inner world becomes a theater of performance rather than presence. Neville never said, "Force the feeling." He said, "Feel it real." And there's a world of difference. Feeling it real is not an act of creation. It's an act of recognition. It's not something you fabricate. It's something you fall into, like a lucid dream where the scene begins to carry you, not the other way around. Effort breeds counterintention. Because effort says, "This isn't natural yet." And your subconscious listens. Your energy field adapts. You start rehearsing instead of living. You become the actor instead of the identity. What if you stopped trying to feel it and started allowing yourself to be it? Absorption is the alchemy. When you lose yourself in the imaginal act like you lose yourself in a story, there's no one left to monitor the process. No voice saying, "Am I doing it right?" Because you're not doing, you're being. Think of the last time you had a beautiful daydream. You didn't force it, it just took over. Your body relaxed, your mind surrendered, and for a moment, you were somewhere else, fully, joyfully, vividly. That is the secret. The more you try to generate the feeling, the more your mind remains on the outside watching. But when you surrender to the scene, when you soften your grip and let the experience unfold inside you, you become the one who has already received. It's not about intensity, it's about intimacy. You're not here to impress the universe. You're here to remember that you're already aligned with it. The wish fulfilled is not something you perform. It's something you embody. And it begins the moment you stop trying. There's a wisdom in the body that even the most advanced manifestors often forget. A sacred intelligence that high-performance athletes know by heart. Transformation requires recovery. Progress needs pause. And true mastery isn't measured by how much you do. It's revealed in how well you allow integration. When an elite athlete finishes a session, they don't immediately jump into another. They rest not because they're lazy, but because they know growth happens in the stillness that follows the stretch. The body needs space to rebuild. The nervous system needs silence to recalibrate. And the results don't come from the intensity alone. They come from the rhythm. Push, pause, push, pause. But in the spiritual world, we often forget this rhythm. We script and visualize, then script again. We declare affirmations in the morning, and then again at night. Not because we're flowing, but because we're afraid to stop. As if the moment we rest, everything we've built might vanish. As if momentum needs effort to be real. But manifestation doesn't work like the material world. Its substance is not effort, it's embodiment. And embodiment only takes root when there is space. Without pause, you become a collector of techniques, rather than a vessel of transformation. You stack scenes and affirmations like bricks, without realizing the foundation hasn't settled. You speak the new self but don't feel it in your bones, because the nervous system hasn't had time to believe it's safe to change. What if your next breakthrough isn't in the next method, but in the next breath? What if the pause is not the absence of progress, but the silent completion of it? There is a softness in letting the work breathe, in letting the new identity echo through your body, in walking through your day not as someone still needing to script, but as someone who already is. When you stop over-scripting, you allow space for the scene to live inside you. You let the self-image anchor. You become familiar with the version of you that no longer needs proof, only presence. This is how integration happens. This is how the shift becomes stable, not through doing more, but through honoring the sacredness of pause. Before we move into the next insight, pause with me for just a moment. If something inside you is already exhaling, if you feel even a flicker of relief in knowing that stillness is part of the path, then you're going to want to read what I've placed in the pinned comment. It's not more noise, it's something that might remind you of what you already know, but have forgotten to trust. Now, let's keep unfolding. There is a deep misunderstanding that has crept into the minds of many spiritual seekers, one that confuses relaxation with passivity and calm with disconnection. But to the energy field, to the quantum intelligence that responds to your state of being, relaxation is not a void, it is a frequency. It is not the absence of movement, it is the precision of alignment. Your nervous system carries a signal. Every thought, every feeling, every breath contributes to the electromagnetic field that surrounds and communicates who you are. And when you are tense, when your breath is short, when your muscles are braced and your thoughts are racing, that field becomes static. It becomes noisy, it becomes distorted with contradiction. But when you relax, truly relax, not just physically, but emotionally, energetically, spiritually, something shifts. Your brain drops out of survival mode. Your heart begins to open. Your breath deepens. Oxytocin rises. Your body starts to remember safety. And that sense of safety tells the field, I have, I am, I trust. Joe Dispenza often speaks of coherence, the harmonious alignment between heart and brain, body and mind. And one of the fastest ways to enter coherence is through calm, not the forced stillness of effortful meditation, but the embodied softness of trust, the kind of calm that feels like sinking into warm water, the kind of calm that comes when you stop fighting to arrive and realize you're already here. Relaxation doesn't make you passive, it makes you magnetic. You become receptive, open, available to receive what you've already claimed in the imaginal world. And in that openness, manifestation doesn't feel like a miracle. It feels like a natural consequence of your vibration. Imagine this. Your inner state is a radio tower. When you're anxious, it's like tuning between two stations. Static, broken signals, noise. But when you're relaxed, you're tuned to a single, strong frequency. Clear, consistent, undeniable. That's what the universe responds to. So breathe. Not to calm yourself down, but to return. To return to the frequency of already having. To return to the safety of knowing nothing is missing. To return to the state where your body becomes a mirror of your manifestation, and your life reflects back the truth you dared to feel. Relaxation is not weakness. It's the reset that makes you strong enough to receive. There's a paradox hidden in many spiritual practices. You sit to meditate, hoping to reach peace. You close your eyes to visualize, hoping to shift your reality. But underneath the ritual, beneath the mantras and the stillness, there's a subtle craving. Maybe this time it will finally work. And that craving becomes resistance. Because when meditation is used as a tool to get, it quietly affirms that you're still without. It becomes a negotiation with the universe instead of a communion with your true nature. You sit with the posture of a seeker instead of the presence of one who knows. Neville never said to meditate for results. He taught to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, not to manufacture the feeling but to become it. There's a world of difference between meditating to attract and meditating because you already are. The first is effort wrapped in spiritual clothing. The second is embodiment. Many meditators unknowingly block their manifestations by remaining in the frequency of waiting. They sit in silence, but their body is tense. Their thoughts may be still, but their energy is saying, "Where is it?" They believe they're aligning with abundance, but they're meditating from the posture of lack. The real shift happens when you stop seeking through stillness and start remembering through it. When you meditate not to create, but to remember that creation is already finished. When you close your eyes not to reach for the vision, but to live inside it. What if you meditated as the one who already has? What if your stillness wasn't a pause before manifestation, but the very space where it arrives? Relaxation, in its deepest sense, is the return to being. Not the kind of being that waits, the kind that no longer needs to wait, because when you're no longer trying to become, you realize you already are. Meditation then becomes not a means to an end, but the expression of a state already fulfilled. A silent homecoming, a sacred pause where nothing is missing, and everything is vibrating in your favor. You're not meant to meditate your way into your desires. You're meant to be so still that you remember you were never separate from them to begin with. There is a kind of power that makes no noise, a presence that doesn't announce itself, yet shifts reality more profoundly than all the loud affirmations in the world. It's the power of the quiet mind, the mind that no longer chases, no longer rehearses, no longer performs, a mind that has nothing to prove because it already knows. Neville called it stillness, but not the kind of stillness that is passive or numb. His stillness is spiritual confidence. It is the vibration of one who has stopped asking if it's working because they've already accepted that it is. It is not the absence of thought. It is the alignment of thought with the feeling of done. You can repeat 100 affirmations a day. You can visualize until your eyelids ache. But if the noise inside you is louder than the truth beneath it, your vibration stays split. The busy mind says, "I'm trying." The quiet mind says, "I am." There was a woman, successful, intelligent, devoted to her spiritual practice. She would write her desires daily, script her future with care, affirm until her voice cracked. But the clients never came. The breakthrough never landed. Until one day she wrote her intention one final time, then closed the notebook and didn't open it again. She let it go. She chose silence over striving. And within weeks, without chasing, they started finding her. Not because she did more, but because she finally stopped doubting. The quiet mind doesn't signal laziness. It signals certainty. It no longer vibrates as someone manifesting. It vibrates as someone manifest. And in that space, the universe responds. Not because it was waiting to reward your stillness, but because only in stillness could you finally hear the answer that was already echoing. When your mind is quiet, your energy becomes clean. Your intention becomes clear. Your assumptions solidify into form, not through repetition but through resonance. So don't be afraid of the silence. It's not the absence of progress. It's the place where all progress begins. You don't need to think more. You need to believe deeper. And belief is always quiet. Not because it whispers, but because it doesn't need to speak at all. There's a tension you carry that doesn't come from the world outside. It comes from the belief that you still have to earn what is already yours. It lives in your chest, in your jaw, in the quiet holding of your breath. It's the emotional fist you didn't know you were making, tight with effort, clenched with unworthiness. You may say the right words, you may visualize with detail, but if your body is gripped, if your breath is shallow, if your nervous system still believes it has to strive to deserve, then the signal you send is contradiction, not because you don't want it enough, but because you haven't yet allowed yourself to feel worthy of receiving it without struggle. Manifestation is not just about mental clarity. It is about somatic permission. The body must feel safe to receive, and safety is born from worth. When you believe you are worthy, your body relaxes, your breath deepens, your shoulders soften, and without effort, without performance, your frequency begins to match the vibration of ease. Not as a technique, but as a truth. The anxiety you feel is not your fault. It's a symptom of conditioning. A world that taught you love must be earned, rest must be justified, and abundance must come through exhaustion. But none of that is real. None of that is divine. The universe doesn't speak the language of pressure. It speaks the language of permission. And permission begins the moment you unclench. Not just your hands, but your expectations. The moment you stop gripping your desires like they might disappear, and begin holding them with the gentle confidence of someone who knows, I am allowed. You don't have to fight to prove your readiness. You don't have to beg the universe for what your soul already contains. When you feel ease in your body, you are not being weak. You are becoming a match. You are aligning with the version of you that no longer asks, am I enough? Because that version already knows. And from that space, everything flows, not as a reward, but as a reflection. There comes a moment, quiet, final, sacred, when the imaginal act is complete. But many ignore that moment. They try to repeat it, rehearse it, perfect it, not out of clarity, but out of fear that they haven't done enough. And in doing so, they break the very spell they worked so hard to cast. Neville was clear. The imaginal scene, once accepted, is done. It does not need to be held like a glass at the edge of a table, watched nervously in case it falls. It must be placed within, deeply and calmly, and then left alone to take root. But the mind, addicted to effort, wants more. It wants to repeat. It wants to secure. It wants to feel something stronger, mistaking intensity for effectiveness. And so, the imaginal act is performed again, not from power, but from panic, not from knowing, but from grasping. There is a spiritual discipline in letting go. Modern neuroscience confirms what Neville knew intuitively. Clarity wires the brain, not chaos. The subconscious doesn't respond to volume. It responds to precision. One well-felt, fully accepted scene does more than 1,000 repetitions filled with doubt. The need to repeat is often a mask for disbelief. But when you truly accept the scene, when it feels like memory, not performance, there is nothing left to do. The seed has been planted. And just like a gardener doesn't dig up the soil every morning to check on the roots, you must learn to trust what you no longer need to see. Dropping the technique is not neglect. It is mastery. It is the soul's way of saying, it is done. And when you can carry that feeling into your day, not by repeating it, but by walking as if it has already unfolded, you collapse the time between desire and manifestation, because time no longer exists in the presence of certainty. You don't repeat what you already are. You walk in it. You speak from it. You breathe with it. And that is enough. More than enough. There's a subtle, almost invisible thread that separates control from creation. It's not about complete detachment, nor obsessive focus. It's something softer, more precise. A state that dancers, musicians, and masters of all crafts understand. It's called light tension. Imagine jazz. The flow is spontaneous, but the mastery is unmistakable. Every note held just enough to feel intentional, but never so tight that the music becomes rigid. The greats don't grip the melody. They ride it. They trust it. And that's exactly how the conscious manifester must hold their desire. Too loose, and you drift into passivity. Too tight, and you fall into resistance. But when you hold the vision with light tension, just enough to keep it alive, not enough to suffocate it, you enter the rhythm of creation. Neville's teachings were never about disinterest. He didn't say, forget your desire. He said, feel it real. But feeling it real doesn't mean clinging to it. It means embodying it with grace. It means holding the scene like a truth, not a task. Like a knowing, not a negotiation. Light tension says, I know it's done. Now I'm free to live. It lets you walk through your day with openness instead of urgency. It allows you to respond to life as the one who already has, instead of the one who's still trying. It brings you into vibrational integrity, where your actions, your energy, your posture all reflect the same silent message. I am already that. This is what great creators do differently. They don't obsess, they align, they don't chase, they attract. They hold the vision softly, as if it's already here, because to them, it is. You don't have to prove your belief by repeating your desire 100 times. You only have to hold it with the confidence of someone who doesn't need to ask twice. The power isn't in the grip, it's in the grace. Not all transformation happens in silence. Sometimes it happens in the way you walk into a room, in the way you pour your tea, in the way you breathe before answering a call. Real-world rituals, small, subtle, sacred, can become the very anchors that shift your state from tension to trust. You don't need an hour of meditation to recalibrate your field. Sometimes, it's 3 minutes of conscious breathing, slow, rhythmic, paced like waves. Inhale gently through the nose as if receiving. Exhale softly through the mouth, as if releasing what never belonged. And with each cycle, your body begins to understand. It is safe to relax. Posture is a portal. Most people hold themselves in defense. Shoulders raised, jaw tight, spine curved. But the moment you choose to stand or sit in a way that says, I am open, you signal to your subconscious, The moment has arrived. Relaxation is not laziness. It is the embodiment of already having. During your imaginal acts, allow your body to be loose. No more clenching to feel more. No more trying to squeeze emotion into the scene. Just presence. Just receptivity. Let your limbs be soft, your gaze inward, your breath natural. You are not performing for the universe. You are being the universe's confirmation. And throughout your day, begin to create micro moments of luxury. Not expensive acts, but intentional ones. The way you stir your coffee, the scent you choose to wear, the choice to sit by the window instead of scrolling through noise. These moments whisper to your subconscious, I already have time. I already have beauty. I already have enough. These rituals are not accessories. They are energetic codes. They tell the body to soften. They remind the mind to stop reaching. They create the vibrational condition of already having, without words, without pressure, without resistance. Because when your body feels safe, your energy flows clean. And when your energy flows clean, your reality begins to match it. Not by force, but by design. You don't manifest faster by doing more. You receive faster by being still. There comes a moment in the spiritual journey, not through epiphany but through exhaustion, where you begin to sense that more effort does not mean more results. You've affirmed, you've visualized, you've said all the right words. And still, something remains untouched. It's not your technique that's failing. It's the subtle energy behind it, the part of you that still believes you must do more to become more. But the universe does not respond to noise. It responds to alignment. Neville Goddard was never a teacher of doing. He was a teacher of being. His words weren't strategies. They were invitations to embody. Assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled and remain faithful to it. Not chase it, not prove it, not return to it out of fear that you've lost it. Remain faithful. That means rest in it. Live from it. Let it become the quiet ground you walk on. The very desire to speed up the process reveals the belief that it hasn't begun. And that belief keeps you separate from the reality you say you want. Relaxation, then, is not the reward. It is the gateway. It's not what you do after manifesting. It's what allows manifestation to unfold. Because to relax into a future identity is to remove every inner voice that says it's still missing. To be still is not to stop moving. It's to stop contradicting your energy. To stop thinking you need to earn what already belongs to you. Stillness is not passive. It's profoundly active in a different frequency. It's not the absence of will. It's the presence of trust. When you are still, you are not disengaged from life. You are deeply engaged with a higher order. You're listening, receiving, attuning. And from that space, you don't act from panic, you respond from purpose. Joe Dispenza teaches that coherence, between the heart and the brain, is the biological signature of alignment. When you are relaxed, your nervous system returns to its natural intelligence. The fight or flight signal turns off. Oxytocin rises. Your heart opens. And your electromagnetic field begins to harmonize. This isn't just poetic. This is measurable. Your body literally becomes more magnetic. Your energy becomes more attractive. But not because you're performing. Because you're congruent. You've stopped sending mixed signals to the field. And that's when things start to move. You've probably noticed this already. The moments something finally arrived were rarely when you were trying the hardest. They were when you let go. When you stopped gripping so tightly. When you walked outside, forgot about the goal, and then, there it was. Not because you abandoned the vision, but because you stopped blocking it with effort. This is the paradox most people never learn to trust. The less you chase, the more you receive. But it's not the absence of desire, it's the presence of alignment. It's not laziness, it's vibrational discipline. It's not about waiting. It's about living from the version of you that's not waiting anymore. You don't need to force the flower to bloom. You don't need to check the soil every hour to believe the seed is growing. You only need to be the environment that allows it. And that environment is stillness, safety, confidence without evidence. Let this be your new prayer. I no longer do to get, I relax to become. Let your next step be slow, not because you're unsure, but because you're certain. Let your energy soften, not because you've given up, but because you've surrendered into trust so deep, it no longer needs confirmation. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you are willing to become. And you become it, not by reaching, but by resting. In the truth, that it's already done. If this spoke to something real in you, don't ignore that pull. Check the pinned comment. There's a reason it's there, and you'll know why the moment you see it.